So I've got my pumpkin all made up, okay? If you're noticing it's getting a little bit of a bulge here, I'm gonna use that paddle again to maybe kind of round that out. I'm getting kind of an odd thing there. I think that hole that I created earlier might be leaking or something, I don't know. But if it gets a little misshapen, it's not that bad, not that big a deal, because pumpkins aren't perfectly round. They aren't perfectly shaped every time, okay? All right, so we're gonna come back and we're gonna use a coil, all right? So I'm just gonna take a little bit of clay. I'm not gonna make a big coil. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create the stem with this. Now, the stem on a pumpkin, when you get them at the pumpkin patch, are usually cut off pretty short. If you want to, you are more than welcome to make your stem very long, okay? So if the stem's coming off here and you can have like a big curly Q and then maybe make some little leaves that come off of it. I don't know, that's totally up to you, however you wanna do it. Actually, I'm kind of liking that. All right, so what I'm gonna do is here on the end, just gonna cut so that I got a nice clean edge to start with. I'm gonna tap this part here, okay? And what that does is that makes that bulge out a little bit, okay? So I'm gonna kind of go like that. That looks like it's gonna work. Then we're gonna go ahead and attach it. Score, slip, and smooth. Score and slip. Okay. Press that in, just nice and firm, not too hard. I think that'll work, okay? Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and smooth that in by dragging the clay down all the way around this. Okay, and then I'm gonna drag a little bit of clay up and into my stem. Again, this is the same process that we do for every time we attach two pieces of clay. We always want to score, slip, and smooth. This is going to help connect it. Now, what you might be noticing is there's this kind of indentation in my stem here, okay, right around there, that doesn't look realistic. Remember, we want this to look like a real pumpkin, and unfortunately, that's not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a small coil, really thin, all right, a little bit thinner than a number 2 pencil, okay? So about like that. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna wrap that around my stem here, and I'm actually gonna use this clay, okay, so you can kind of see that goes all the way around. I'm gonna use this clay to smooth in and fill in that little divot, that little indentation that I created with the tongue depressor by smoothing that together, all right? And then we go ahead and we smooth this up. And that's gonna make a much smoother, much more believable transition between the stem and the pumpkin. Okay? Now, because I've got this long stem here, all right, I'm also gonna go ahead and score and slip where this is gonna attach. The more places you can attach your pieces, the better it's going to be. Okay? The better, the stronger and smoother that's gonna connect, all right? So I'm gonna try and hide this, and I'm gonna do a little bit on the inside, okay? And then later on, I can clean up that line there and get rid of that little tool mark. I think I'm just gonna leave it like that. Didn't need much, but that'll help make it a little bit smoother and a little bit cleaner. All right, so all these little tool marks, I'm gonna go ahead and smooth out with my fingers. Okay, and what you'll notice is that there's this kind of smearing that's going on. All right, not to worry. We're gonna use that. Okay, so that's a nice smooth transition. Clean that up a little bit down there. A little bit difficult with that stem being a little bit long like that. So now on the top, you'll notice that I've got this kind of smeared mark, and it's kind of covered up a lot of those little lines that we created to create the lobes of the pumpkin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna enhance these by drawing around them, okay? And this is gonna make up what looks like the connection to the top of the pumpkin. So you can see that. Now my little lobes here, they're getting a little bit on the thin side because the clay is kind of spushed out, and that's fine. I can go back in, make these a little deeper. Okay, you can always go back and redo stuff if something doesn't look right, or if it doesn't, you know, stay the way you want it, you can always go back and change things. You can always make them a little bit stronger. And I think I see the problem is right here, I'm getting a little bit of a crack. I don't think it's a hole, but I'm getting a little bit of a crack just because of the pressure there. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it like this. All right, at this point, I'm pretty much done with what I can do for today. If I want, I could go ahead and lightly draw out and design what my face is gonna look like on here. You should have that in your preliminary drawings on your project form, but since, yeah, see, I've got this little crack here that's forming. I'm gonna try and fill that in a little bit. Okay, I could draw this in a little bit to make it a little bit more easy to follow later on, but I can always draw and carve into my pumpkin a little bit later on. So at this point, I'm ready to go ahead and start storing it.